So I have to throw on my shades just to do this. Boom. What's up? Welcome to Sweet, the podcast brought to you by The Good Weirdos Incorporated. I'm your host, your boy Llim.
Sweet.
And with me, I have Moray. And it's a lot going on.
Sweet.
And introduce yourself, give a little intro, let the people know who you are.
I go by Moray Ill or the Jing Eater. I have many names, I'm not going to lie. I'm going all the way back to middle school.
The Jing Eater is what I wanted to ask about because I was like, that is just so. What is the Jing Eater? What is that?
The Jing Eater is like a full concept in my head, but it's also like a personal practice. So Jing, connected to like ancient Taoist beliefs, has to do with the essence of someone. We all get essence from our mother and father, and so this is what the Jing essence is. And so being like an eater of Jing, like, yeah, the kanji is kind of connected to semen, so it's like, oh yeah, I eat nut. Very clear. But and nothing wrong with it. I've learned to embrace it. But the like other portion of it is, eating myself or eating away certain parts of my nature and then refining them through the alchemical process, so to speak. And then I eat other people's natures too. So like, of course, physically I'm swallowing the nut, but also I'm here to like transform other people as they are, communing with me or whatnot.
We could have another episode talking about that alone, you eating other people's in all ways, because that can go really deep in a lot of ways that I like to explore, because I love talking on a higher level in depth about people that's not in the physical world, that people are, because that is what is motivating a lot of how we're moving and out, but we don't want to address that. It looks like
we'll get there.
Right. So we don't get right into the shit. It's been a lot going on since forever. Racism, segregation, slavery, redlining, colorism, all of the things, white supremacy, of it all. How do you feel do you feel in general, just an overarching statement, do you feel like white supremacy is the root cause of a lot of shit that's going on, including
they've dominated so much with all of their sciences, their psychologies. They've colonized, so they have a very strong, they're one of the main reasons why the world is kind of fucked the way it is. And they know it. What kind of narcissist doesn't understand the effect that they put on another person? Whether or not they're going to acknowledge that they're at fault, that's going to be a whole other. You should be thankful for how I'm assisting you in your journey, even though it might be oppression, but I'm just trying to build you up and make you just as good as I am, which is understandable for the most part, but I don't fuck with that. So white supremacy is probably the most dominating force, but it's the question of how much are we going to be beholden to white supremacy?
Wow. That's a good unlocking point.
Okay.
More to say, you can go ahead, and because I was going to say that's a perfect segue into colorism, because you said how long is white supremacy going to be the dominant force? It goes good into racism and colorism and the power of certain words or phrases and things that still has the black community in a grip. Like Nene said, that it's tight.
Don't like her. They're just tight. She's supposed to wear them straight. And she has her. She made her.
Bob is tight. Whoop.
Just real strict.
And it's becoming, and let's just start here. You know, I'm gonna pull up this colorist page here, because we're gonna tap right in, and white supremacy is the dominant force, and it is having the grip since before slavery, bitch. Before it's just been
Mhm.
throughout history. And it's actually fascinating that how the way they pulled this off. And without much organized force against them,
Mhm.
because they use religion though. It's all
Yep.
mental. That's another part. It's
Spiritual
all
win.
once you bring religion into it and spirituality, you've kicked it up a notch.
Mhm.
But it's all false religion, false doctrine, or you manipulating doctrine just to deliver your needs and get what you want out of a people, out of a
Mhm.
person, a nation, out of anything. This colorist page, it has so much to say about anybody dating a white person, saying they're interested in a white person, saying that they, and it doesn't blow my mind, but it's it's very telling of themselves, the amount of energy they put in to shaming people who do like,
Oh, oh no, it's dismantling.
oh, I'm sorry, let me correct
It's
verbiage.
dismantling.
It's a man, colorism, anti-blackness, racism, and white supremacy. And I'm on the chopping block apparently as well. It's not new. It ain't new.
It's just it's interesting. I mean, I saw their page a while ago, and when they had their first little blow up, it was like, okay, this is cute. I enjoy little commentaries and whatnot.
Right.
But I mean, maybe after it's a concept that I definitely believe that we all should be talking about. But I think it was by the third tweet, I was like, no, you ain't smart enough. Like, you just learned about this.
Oh, we finna get it. Hold on. Bam. Can we see it? This is it. This is where they called me out. And I'll read it. Because if we want to be triggered by everything, let's slide over and we get in the light. Okay. Now this leads to the kink fetish girlies. Now see, you misgendering me. Isn't I could be highly offended by
Mhm.
this. What happened? What's going on? It says is intellectually dishonest. How do you want to curate a space for black people, but how can they trust you if you're a race play enthusiast? You say white men are dangerous, but predominantly deal with them. Wow, that's a lot of impact there. And um, let me see. Oh yeah, they have tweets that I put down because I honestly
Predominantly.
they tagged me in this,
Hmm.
but I did not get the notification. Somebody had to DM me and like, "Yo, did you see this?" I was like, "Oh no, I didn't see it. I didn't even get the notification, but here it is."
Hmm.
And what do you feel about this? And what all of just from this perspective and the black community
Damn.
perspective of black people dating white people, or that black people dating outside their race in general. How do you feel about that?
It's such and that's okay, quite honestly. I don't give a fuck.
Okay.
W- diversity is the only way. As much as we would like to be, you know, central and feeling very pure in our ideas, pure in our genetics, in our cultures, it's just not going to happen. And I believe everyone has their own individual specialties. But I mean, you're going to block love, you're going to block mixing, you're going to block evolution, because that's just all it's going to ever be. I mean, you can stay in one central area of the world if you'd like to, and there's nothing wrong with that. But to feel some kind of way about intermixing, I mean, you're just as bad as the bitches who just tried to, you know, rape and pillage, and then try to create this idea of being impure by breeding with, you know, a Negro, and yet you're raping them for your own sexual pleasures, and then also to create livestock. And then you're also treating that livestock kind of like family, depending on who, you know, the master is at the time. It's all very fucked. Anyway, the psychology is all over the place. But when it comes to, you know, dating outside your race and wanting to be with someone, it's like, you got to love somebody. And if they are respectfully loving you, cool. That's all it is. I mean, to be so pressed about the option you chose, especially when you don't know the context, you don't know the history, you don't know anything about these people, and it just sounds like stupidity and foolishness. But if on the offhand you do know about these people, okay, you know, maybe their backstory because you read it on Wikipedia, or, you know, a little bit of a thread on Twitter. And then you have the ideas of what maybe the white person, if we're going to think about the interracial dating, and it usually is always going to be a white person that we're going to get upset about. If it's going to be a white person, we're always going to go to, you know, their ancestors were doing this and that to yours. So it's like, okay, well, first, I mean, they just came over here. They did, okay, that sucks for their lineage, or how they actually feel about the people that they're dating, but we don't know anything about them. So today, is going to be breeding with different kinds of people, and you're just going to have to get over that. If you would like to live a, you know, monoculture, or I don't even know what the fucking word is, you're just going to have to go sit in a commune of your design, and that's okay. Perfectly fine.
You said so much you tapped on, especially you said that people want to have a monoculture. Again, I don't know if that's a fucking word, but we're gonna make it. English is made up anyway, bitch. I'm making it up. Because basically what Hoteps and the pro-black, anti-black fighters are saying is that they want Puritan. It sounds like the Aryan Brotherhood type shit.
Mm-hmm.
You want pure black, pure. We just want pure. You don't want to mingle with the other races. You don't want any. It sounds very reverse racism, which is a thing that people think that's not possible.
Yeah, I was gonna be like, yeah, I get it. You know, it's kind of difficult, like being black, and I only say I'm black because the majority wants to put me in that box. And the moment I say that I'm not, is like, oh, so you're denying your race, or is there self-hatred? I was like, bitch, I've self-hated well before I met you. And I only self-hated mainly because of the bitches that look like you and other bitches that don't look like you. I mean, it was just a weird conversation of, what are you? I know you're black, but what else? And it's like, I don't understand why I have to answer this question. And then also, I go home and they tell me that I'm black. So I'm confused now. But anyway, that's a whole other conversation.
But it's not. It's the conversation.
Sorry. Lost my point.
No, you got it. You were on it. Because the black people that you see, because you light skinned, you don't look like a normal black person, African nigga have, and they're like,
Yes, thank you. As you brought it back, okay. Yeah, with the reverse racism, this is okay. So we're going to do as a construct. It's a construct meant to place superiority, inferiority based on really phenotype. Kind of gets back into ethnic background, gets into the racial categories, but it's all about inferior and superior. And if you believe in superiority, regardless of what side you're on, you're automatically a racist. You believe that you are weaker to someone because, one, they deem you as such, but also because you have unfortunately had to subscribe to the system that you're in. You didn't necessarily choose that. And I mean, that kind of sucks, but I didn't necessarily choose to be a part of capitalism, but I have to embark on it daily. And then I have to play the game daily. So being racist, anybody can be racist. If you want to pigeonhole it and make the specific form of racism systematic racism, whatever the fuck it is, then yeah, white people are only the ones that can be racist since they're at the top. However, racism as just believing in stupid ass shit regarding race, oh, the white man's in power, you're a racist already because he is stronger than you, and vice versa. So you can easily be racist towards white people and then your own people. Oh, I just hate the word racism because it's just like you're just being stupid towards other people. That's all it is. You are deciding to treat and speak to others based on preconceived notions, stereotypes, whatever. And then you do it to your fellow brothers, sisters, however you like to view them, by then putting them in their own category. And if they're lighter skinned, you already have a narrative based on another stereotype, another idea of racism, based on the ideas or the projections that you hold towards them, you know, lighter skin. So a darker skinned person, for the most part, is possibly going to perceive lighter skin as better, mainly because lighter skin has been given a prop. It's been closer to whiteness, and yeah, that's a fact. I mean, shit, I benefited from it every day, which is great for me. I love it, but I know it's not necessarily something that I earned, something I'm entitled to. It's just I'm also a victim of it as well. But you ain't gonna make me a victim, boo. Make me a victim. So I'm gonna use exactly what this topic.
This shows. I want to say this too because humans are so complex. Nothing is really black and white when it comes to this shit because it's always rooted into other shit, whether it's your own personal shit, experience you've lived, trauma that's been passed through you, and shit. It's all complex and how you dealing with it. And I love that you brought up that how you grew up and that you do get access from. I call it light skin privilege, pretty privilege, pretty privilege has its blessings, it has its curses.
Yeah.
So you nailed it with that. You also said about how the slave owners, there was a preference because I was reading about colorism earlier, and I need to know right off bat when I'm coming to speak against colorist pages what I'm talking about because you mentioned the one drop rule because you said, oh, you're supposed to claim that you black, and that's like a one drop rule from whatever 16. So I can pull it up real quick just so we know what I'm talking. One drop rule. Enslavement of Africans in America brought us the one drop rule, which impacts our definition and impression on our varying shades. The one drop rule dates back to a 1662 Virginia law that addresses race people. It asserts that anyone with even one ancestor that is black, you are considered black.
Okay.
Speaking about that, because you say, "Oh, well, you're supposed to claim you black," but technically, you might not be black, but because the black folks want you to claim you
You
black,
know,
questioning your blackness because you light skin and they jealous of that. Let's wake it up. And they jealous of the lighter skin because they know you have
ain't nothing special about the light skin. hmm And it's interesting because the pretty privilege and the light skin privilege, like if you can get both of those, awesome. Like, but they are separate. It's like you can be light skinned, and unfortunately, not unfortunately, but this is how it's going to be, viewed. As unfortunately, you have all of the Negroid features, so it's like, oh, not pretty, like automatically deemed not pretty. So you better hope that you have the pretty privilege, even as a dark-skinned person. It's like there's even privileges in that you probably don't notice or you don't want to acknowledge because, yeah, it's not a big boost as you would like it to be, but there's plenty of pretty dark-skinned privilege. It's just not, unfortunately, given the same sort of, credence or respect. But it gets you somewhere. You just got to know how to use it.
That's all. It's more of a dark.
Privileges are everywhere. You just need to know what you're actually fucking good at, or what you naturally imbue, or which you were inherited. Yeah.
Yeah.
For the most part.
You are on this shit. Yes, nigga. I do know what's up because dark skin can use their privilege. If you got a big black dick, people crave that. Because see, it's not as prompt up as white privilege or white Eurocentric beauty standards what people crave, but people like that dark skin. People like old chocolate, dark, big muscle mandingo nigga. They like a big booty. I'm saying a lot of triggering words, and I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing.
You know what you should.
I'm a lot of triggering words to trigger y'all. And before this, I'm gonna put a trigger warning. This whole episode is triggered up. So with that leads we've hit, because all of these are so complex. We can dive deeper and deeper, but you hitting them. You really are hitting everything that we needed to talk about, from the black people self-hating, the light skin, the white people secretly raping and fetishizing for the dark skinned slaves, and then that perfectly leads into race play.
Okay. Now race play is gonna be new for me.
Well, tell me what you know. Tell me your experience or what you feel about it.
Now, so I've been doing like my little sex work for a very long time. And probably before I had any sort of confidence in what I believe in, how I move. I used to think race play was just like okay, you're not feeling real confident about who you are. So you're just, doing that. And okay. I actually didn't have much of an idea. It was just like, it's not something I would do because I already know how I feel about certain things.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? Since I am not a part of it, then I actually don't know what's going on in it or what I'm doing in it. And the little bit of experience that I've had with race play was impromptu and undiscussed. And it was a cop,
Oof.
mind you. So that was my
Oh,
fault.
hell no. I know that badge ain't got you thinking no shit like that. Cute.
There, it was what, and this was a police officer I met when I was 19, maybe. And I didn't know anything about what he actually did because we had hooked up maybe one time. And then I met him again when I was like 25. And then met up with him one more time, like around 28. And luckily, nothing happened in the moment. It was the conversation to like the next meeting that was like, oh, well, I mean, I should have peeped it earlier on because you did say that you like a particular breed of men, and you just seem to find yourself attracted to like darker skinned men, typically black, Latino sometimes, but you really like black guys. And I'm like, well, that's interesting. Well, you know, we all have our interests with particular people, so I'm not going to judge you too harshly, let alone him already being a police officer. So I was like, I don't know how I feel about that. But you know what? I'm a crazy bitch. So I like to just, go into situations and I'm like, you know what? Let's see what goes on. And you know what? I could expose later on. Who knows? So we're texting, and pretty much he gets down to calling me a nigga during his text. And I'm like,
Oh, he wrote it out?
he just did it. I was like, oh, I don't know why you thought that was, I don't do that. Why did you think that was appropriate? And he's like, well, the other ones that I've been with have never had an issue and they like it. And I was like,
The other ones.
the other ones. So I'm like, okay, the language is interesting.
You hear it? You got you hear it.
Like I'm just listening. I'm like, okay, and mind you, this is a man, police officer, that is into the dom sub kink, and we never had a conversation. Huh?
He's the dom.
He's the dom,
Okay.
and yeah, it was getting in my ass about asking too many questions and not showing the proper authority. But I was like, bitch, you didn't even address yourself as the dom and didn't even try to figure out what the rules were going to be. So what kind of dom are you going? Anyway, so that was bullshit. However, however, seeing that experience was like, okay, well, race play with that, you would probably kill me and dump my body somewhere, more than likely.
Period.
So I said, no, 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 no. And it was just the fact that you were so eager and excited about calling me that in the first place without even checking. I mean, I personally don't like the word being used on me in any context, quite honestly. Like, I don't see the way in my household, I grew up where we didn't use, I still say the N word, but I wasn't really allowed to say nigga. It wasn't, and it doesn't even come out naturally for me. Like the only time it comes out naturally is when I'm actually being rude to somebody. Like, that's the only time it sounds like, oh, this is good. You must use that often. I'm like, yeah, I want to be a bitch. That's the only time it sounds good. But inside the house, that was a no. And that's only because my grandmother, a super light-skinned woman who adamantly says she's black, she comes from a black woman, taught me everything I needed to know about black history and my space in the world. She pretty much said, if you're going to disrespect yourself in such a way with the language, then you might as well spit in the face of your ancestors who had to endure being called that while being hung and killed. So for me, I don't use that, but I also understand reclaiming words and power, but some things just have a signature and you're not going to get rid of it. And you're not going to get rid of that signature when it comes to being a nigga.
No, you're not. Racism, number one, is never going anywhere ever, period, at all. I keep myself together. I keep it cute.
Yeah.
but I can pop off at any second. Any second. So I keep it real cute. Race play to me is very, very touchy, very it's dangerous, yet it's liberating at the same time. So I'm glad you mentioned that story about the police officer in that form of race play. Number one, and Dom and sub dynamics. Let's start there. Um, because most white people, I'm not want to say most, a good majority are into this. Whether it's not just say specific race play, they just feel the superiority of their privilege. They say they are unaware of it, they know, they got it.
Yeah.
Some people, some white people like to be the sub because they know they're tired of being and they know their privilege. They want to be degraded and humiliated and make me feel like a worthless. I'll be your little white slave. Others want to be like that cop who is exhibiting uncontrolled. His shit is unhinged. He's exhibiting his
Mhm.
power in a way is forceful, dangerous, aggressive. You got a lot of nigga hating you. That police officer badge and that dominance that you feel of authority is just gonna. That's a motherfucker that will kill you and leave your ass when he's done with you. For me, race play started. I don't. I grew up in the South. Um, I never had no white person call me a nigger or nigga growing up. That's just, and I grew up in. When I grew up, I was living in the country on a red clay dirt road,
Okay.
and rednecks, hillbillies all around. This what it was given. So I didn't have like a fascination on just white boys. It was boys. I
Yeah.
like boys. I don't give a fuck who it is, what it is, what it is. Boys, dicks, ass, give it to me. But in growing up in the South, you automatically taught about racism. You automatically taught about what is given. You automatically know how to move. You know what to say. I know how this moves. So I'm like, okay, I got it. But race play, I don't know. When I was young and dating, my first boyfriend was white, and I was 18, and but I had a girlfriend before that. She was black, all the way black. But that's a whole nother story. Me and her is actually still friends to this day. But me and my first boyfriend, he was white. We
Cool.
never dove into race play. We never talked about it. He never called me nigga. It wasn't a thing that was on my mind. But when I was starting to get older, and I guess the first thing that was starting to trigger me was the black people that would see me dating somebody where they're like, oh, you were dating a white boy? Oh, you doing this? You would be with a white boy. So that's making me like, well, what's the problem? So and when people challenge me or make me feel like what I'm doing is wrong or I shouldn't be doing something, that makes me intrigued to want to do it now. So
Yeah.
I'm like, so why is this so bad? Now I need to know what's going on. Why are you thinking like this?
Mhm.
So it just Harlem hookups.
Oh, that was a good time.
He was the one that set me out.
Hmm.
And I'm cool with him actually. Of course I would be. But his videos was the first that clicked my mind. And I wasn't searching for it. I stumbled upon it years ago. And I was like, oh, this is offensive. I shouldn't like this. I don't know why I like it. But I'm
Hmm.
operating off my dick. Because if my
Yeah.
dick is turning me on, I need to know why now it's turning me on. So
Yeah.
I was like, because go ahead.
Oh no, no, keep going. You getting it?
Well, I was like, so why is it turning me on? So I was like, And I tried to fight it. I was like, no, this shit is crazy. No, I can't do this. This is too much. I can't do this. What the fuck is this? This is crazy.
Mhm.
And then I was like, okay, no, because every time I would go back to that was for a while, that was the only thing that would give me a nut. When I came
Okay.
across it, That was the only thing that I could net to. So I was like, I don't know how to approach people with this. I don't know how to even experiment this in the field. I don't I don't know how to try this in real life. And I don't know I'm trying to think of the first time I actually pulled it because when I'll say this, I do know. When I'm into someone, I'm very there's no shy, there's no so I'm with it. I'm coming straight to you like, "Oh, so what's up? How you?" And if we in the bedroom, let's go. I'm like, "Oh, so I know I'm reading your energy. I'm reading your body because if you white, let me segue a little bit because I'm finna wake it up. I'm finna call out the white people real quick because if you white and you got Black Lives Matter in your bio, you are into this shit. If you are white and the
Say it.
main people if the main people you like and you are filming with and all this shit is black, you're into this shit. If you like the interracial bottom, the white top, black bottom sites that I see 200,000 followers, a lot of motherfuckers I be seeing y'all. I see who it is. You're into this shit. If you into anything labeled interracial, you're into this shit. You're suppressing it and you're denying it because you know status quo racism. I'm black. I don't know. Even it's white people. They'd be like, I can't do that. I can't. No, I can't. I feel guilty. So let's just say that. Let's call a spade a spade.
Exactly.
Because I see a lot of Black Lives Matters in y'all bios on Twitter, Jack Grinder, BGCA, Adam for Adam, Christian Mingle, and I know what it means. That's how I know what you're dealing with. I know what I'm dealing with. So when I was fucking this person, they was like, the person, it was a random hookup, and they were just like, oh, I just love black guys, kind of like that cop was telling you, I just love black dudes, black dudes are just so. I know, it's just all I like. I don't even like white dudes anymore. I was like, okay, all right, yeah, let's hook up. So I went over there and we get and I'm like, yeah, she's like, oh, I love that big black dick. And when you said that, I was like, okay, so let me try something. Oh, you like when this nigga fuck you? Yeah. I was like, yeah, tell me you like with this nigga dick. Yeah. And they was like, oh no, I can't say. I was like, say it. And they was like, oh, I love that nigga dick. And when it came out, it's just so natural.
Yeah.
I was like,
oh,
pegged you. And then that turned me on. And I was like, okay, now I'm gonna fuck the shit out of you. Now there's levels to that because that's when we start to get into the mysticism and the spirituality of it because they do want to drain me. They do want certain things of my essence from me. It's a lot of people, oh, I need that seed. I need that black seed. Give me that seed. And then that triggered me like, why do they want my nuts so bad? Why it's breeding? I'm like, Also, there's power here. Okay. Got you. Now that's something else we can add to the list. Play to me is a reclaiming. I'm trying to encompass it all. It's very dangerous. It's very risque. You can't do this with everybody, and you have to have discernment. Know who you fucking with, and I feel like I have a post I'm gonna read that let me go to my phone. We're gonna do it like this. Because I didn't write this, but I posted it on my Twitter and it brought the colorist page to my page a year ago. This is a tweet I tweeted a year ago. And here it is. It says race play is a reaction and intentional subversion of what goes on in our everyday lives. It's a way of playing and taking control of what we can't control. If race play disappeared, then racism would still exist in its entirety. Race play is a reaction, not a source. Race play being a reaction to racism is also the same as what hetero people do with sexism. It's all slurs. Women can consent to kinky play where they're being called sluts, whores, bitches, etc. Things all considered to be derogatory slurs toward women, and it's fine, even normalized. But if a POC wants to be called a racial slur, then suddenly it becomes too taboo, shameful, and unheard of for some reason. People didn't like that when I posted. I get what nigga holds the weight of my slavery, triangle slave trade, Jim Crow, segregation, integration, if that happened, whatever, the mass incarceration, even with all the shit we doing now. I get it. I know. I'm black. And and let's wake it up again. I'm not one of these fake blacks.
Okay, you ain't the
See,
new woke.
This is what I'm fucking up their head at, because they can't take me because I'm not one of these white black boys that's not black for real, ain't lived the black experience, ain't lived life. My family black and hood as fuck. This ain't this ain't me just trying to adapt. And that's what people can't take me because I'm in tune and I fight for black rights. I can distinguish what's race play, and I know this is wrong to it's systemic oppression. I can do two things at one time. I can fuck this white boy and hold his ass accountable and drag his ass. Cause bitch, you ain't finna keep me. That's how they do. That's how the white people do. They gonna suppress the black people. The black people then get fucked by them in the evening.
Okay. And then you see why they're so dominant. Like you want to talk about complexities.
It's all mental. It's all mind shit. It's power. It's mind control. It's people just want power, or they want to be relinquished of their power. But still,
freedom or power.
Freedom or power.
Because if you want, you're gonna need one to get the other. But if you're always hoping for one, then you have to accept that at certain points you need to learn what it means to have power and who you're going up against to retrieve that power. Because there is no kumbaya, there is no, we're going to be loud as we can so we can change the world. I'm going to march. And you know what? Marching is great. It's important.
Yes, continue. Shake it up. The only marching that's important, though, no, I'll take that back. I'm finna be real. Only marching now that's important is some motherfuckers that's out there striking.
Okay.
The SAG, AFRA, WGA, and all of LA is damn near on strike. The city workers, the hotel workers, they say they finna shut LA down.
Finished.
That's what the whole country needs to be on, but that's not this episode. We can talk about this.
Correct.
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 We can go into that. But you got some more?
I was gonna say, because I think with the race play, sex is like that hard. It's a part of our coding, and it becomes so difficult to talk about real things in accordance with sexual things.
But they're all intertwined
because it's so natural. It's all intertwined. Like it starts from the very beginning, like taking humanity out of it. Sexuality is always there. The need to spread, multiply, replicate, combine, fuse, like it's all sexual. And since it's all sexual, it's all natural. And anything that you experience during sex that you like, that's natural. It may be a response or a reaction, but the thing is, it's naturally responding.
Oh.
And whether or not you're okay with that, that's up to you. And if you're okay moving with it, that's up to you. But trying to control what someone can do, especially when they're working with themselves and another consenting person, it's none of your business what they're going to do. And the spiritual process, if we're going to be doing some kind of healing in some kind of way, it's none of your business to figure out what they're doing is immoral, or if it's self-hatred, or if it's disgusting, if it's weakness. It's like, well, if it is all of those things to you, then why don't you let them be, and they can heal on their own time? Because you talking to them, or not even talking, you yelling at them about how disgusted you are doesn't
Right.
actually change much. Now you're just
And
here for a little kiki.
it's to make themselves feel better. Because I've asked them tangible, like, what do you want? What do you want me to do? What? Well, I don't give a fuck what you want me to do. I just did this as a rhetorical question as what is the solution? What are you trying to prove? What is this going to accomplish?
Mm-hmm.
Now what? So now what? You've called me out. So now what do you hope? What do you hope for what you've done now? For the black people not to fuck with me? No, because now every time they do that, I gain more followers. And majority of them, because it's black people following that page, a white person sent me the message telling me that I was called out. But the followers that come after that are all black. You know how many black dudes DM me on across all social media platforms that are into that and just can't ashamed and boom the boom and okay. Well, that was this movie that came out recently about child trafficking kids and selling them and shit. And Fox News was really producing, like promoting this because it's Republican backed and all this. And the day the shit dropped, the founder, the director, or whoever, like the screenplay writer, whoever was one of the top people making this, just got arrested for child kidnapping and it's like the Catholic priests and the Catholic boys. It's like the lawmakers that make laws against drag bills and trans rights, and they're getting fucked and fucking trans people. It's like the Jim Crow laws where they was fucking trying to make laws against black people and then fucking black people. It's like the slave owners having slaves and then fucking the slaves. It's never ending and it's dark. And the darkness of it is, I feel, is because people don't know how to handle and accept the truth of what it is. And that truth is things such as incest, things such as animal sex, bestiality, things such as pedophilia, things such as
mutilation, even.
mutilation.
And and we can even get real specific. I mean, everyone has their yum, and I'm not yucking anything, but I mean, fisting is a form of mutilation, but it's so common and accepted within the community. Like, to see a rosebud asshole, I mean, there's been a mood. Okay, there's been like a few moods where I'm like, oh, that looks kind of good. No, I can't. This is too much right now. But for the most part, it's like, oh, I don't think that's not supposed to come out that way. But
I don't think
okay,
that is.
you like it. I
That
can't be mad.
that I'm not mad. I'm not. It is astonishing that is very much mutilation, and you know, I don't. I now you got me wanting to go to a whole dive on fisting, and is that doing permanent damage to the inside of your gut?
I do want to know. I need to be educated. So
I we need to get a fisting person who's educated and getting rammed and gutted out. I see a plenty. My first time I fisted somebody, I was the first time I did acid,
Oh wow, I bet that was intense.
And I was wearing a Deadpool mask, authentic Deadpool mask. At first, he had sat on this huge dragon sized, it was a dragon dick dildo. Huge,
Okay.
like this wide, this long. It's my first time ever seeing this. It's like in 2018, 19, this shit happened. And he just slammed on it. Woo, woo. And I was like, whoa. And I'm on acid now. Keep that in mind. My first time being on acid. So he was like, yeah. And he told me, he put on, gave me a glove, put it on. He was like, have you ever done this before? I was like, no, never. And he was like, easier, easier way in like this, like a feel your way in. Then when I was getting in, and he was telling me like, slow down, wait a second, and then okay, go in. And then he was like, oh yeah, feel around in there, have fun. And then I just started. it was interesting, weird, but
Okay.
I
So
enjoy
how
I
deep?
enjoy shit like that because of the mutilation of it. I,
Got a little sadism in you, I see.
I've had people come to me with things that you probably wouldn't. You probably would imagine. Most people probably wouldn't. I've had people that like snuff fantasies, like they really threaten to kill themselves or telling me to do it, tell them to do it. And I had dude would FaceTime me with a knife up against his nuts, like just on it. And he was telling me, just tell me to do it. Tell me to do it. Tell me.
Ah,
I was like,
ah.
don't make me. And
Oh
that
god.
I like that shit. It's interesting. It's because it's fucking with your mind. It's all mental shit. Now, I've seen dicks that have been mutilated, like pierced. I've seen shit that I can't even understand. I don't know. Oof, I don't even.
Like I can feel it in my penis. It's
You
just
feel? I just like yeah, split.
ooh. But it's
And I was like,
normal.
it's normal. Because well, the Africans used to do all kind of shits with their dicks and their lips and the things that they did.
Hmm. But that's considered uncivilized when it's African.
Exactly. See what I'm saying? See how we can notice the complexity and the duality and the it's a lot going on.
It's a
Grace
lot
Jones.
going on, and it's like you don't have like the colorist page and those that have similar thinking minds. It's like no, we're intelligent enough to know what's going on and what we're conversing about. We're not conversing about the same thing because the intention is different. Your intention, I'm going to assume, since they would like to assume intention behind most of our posts, even though I posted many a things hoping you would find me.
Yes,
And you
yes.
did exactly what I thought you would do. You came to my page and you brought me up. Like the posts that I'm making are specifically geared to what you actually wanted to talk about. And that was me
Yes.
loving white cock. And it's and then trying to use, their own, little hazing tactics of like, oh, isn't this you? And I'm getting fucked by my man. And I'm like, well, yeah, that's me. Is like, and this is your boyfriend, right? I'm like, yeah, but he's not white. Oh, but deleted that
Because it's
promptly. So so you didn't figure out beforehand, before you made the post, if they were white or not. But you wouldn't be able to figure that out at all. In fact, you would find out the difference, mainly because I would have already made a post about my partner being mixed and also the struggles of being black and all of those other things. But you bypassed all of those ones so you could go right to whiteness and try to paint a narrative. So it's the idea that you think you're trying to start some kind of conversation. No, you're a troll.
and
You're a
y-
troll you could very well be a white bitch behind that page. I don't know who you are, actually.
Who are you? Because it's giving very troll energy. It's giving very you hate yourself. It's giving very white supremacy has a grip on you way more
Mhm.
than it has on me.
Okay? It's on your mind all the time.
All the time. It's heavy. You have a whole page dedicated for being in other people's business.
Okay, and I understand envy. I understand envy. We all get envious sometimes, and being light skinned was the idea. It was, the pinnacle of being black. It was like, you know what? If you can be lighter skinned and fair skinned, somebody will love you.
Right.
Somebody will want to take you home, even though I see plenty of dark men going home. But that's fine. I personally believe you're probably mad that you either lost out on someone who was light skinned, you were hurt by someone that was light skinned, and by hurt, I mean they just didn't pay attention to you. So it's all about your feelings at the end of the day. Or you really believe that you're fighting against colorism, and that would be delusion and mental illness, which is what racism is. And more than likely, you're a racist because you're a colorist. But
Yeah.
that's my whole feelings on that. But
You seem to
race
have
play,
race play is
you know,
and I want to say this because they say I center white people. I don't never I don't like to explain myself because fuck yeah. And I said we
yeah.
Jamie Foxx shit recently when he went up here explaining some shit that everybody nigga we know what you talking about. Fuck budgets. I'm like nigga we don't do that because we got the same birthday Sagittarius all
Okay.
day. So I ain't finna explain, but I'll explain this real quick. Do I center white people? No. The person I dated before, my ex, who was white, and we dated for like 2 years, was black. I was with him for 5 years, all the way black. I only started recently filming these past few years. So in this last relationship, boom. Oh, and we was into race play heavy. So it was a thing. But I don't go around just doing that with everybody. Most people don't even have never met me. You don't know what I'm doing or what I'm dealing with, who I'm dealing with, who I'm fucking with, or nothing like that. So I see these things and I'm like, oh, okay, well, if that's what you think, go ahead.
ahead.
Have fun, bitch, because I don't give a fuck. Truth is always being suppressed. This shit is always being lying because it's always you motherfuckers that's trying to call out somebody else that's doing the real low down, dirty, snake, nasty shit. Now, see, and I want to get dark. I would love to get into those darker taboos, but see, that's a touchy ground, bitch.
It's touchy, and we want to talk about it authentically.
Let me get my Malcolm X jacket on. Hold on. Man, that brother's hungry. That brother's starving.
Because the truth has to be honest, and when you're honest, that means you need to accept certain parts of, your part of the whole equation, of the whole narrative. What you decide to engage in, what you decide to dismiss as not important, even though it might be essential to, the issue or the production or whatever the fuck it is. I don't think people want to be honest about what they're into because one, yeah, it's scary to admit something to yourself, especially when others have already deemed it as unsavory, unfavorable, and uncivilized, and whatnot. It's going to definitely be hard to be honest and truthful about your sexuality. You know, you got, I mean, just trying to keep up with the colorist thing. It's just like Wayne Brady already coming out as just pansexual, just meaning open to experience. Really? just open to experience. And, we all have the jokes and the history about Wayne Brady.
Right.
We already know that. But again, just ready to put him into you know what? I bet he's going to date a white gay. I bet that's what it's going to be. And it's like, okay, well, I guess you already know who he is as a person. And
And
well, since you know so fucking much, I mean, I guess you really do anything about what's going to happen. So nothing is going to change, essentially. You're already set it in your mind that you want to talk about it, but nothing's going to change because I already know how they work. The fuck? You sound so stupid. But you just sound idiotic and
because what?
but that's to be expected because because I
I see
mean,
the
because if you're going to be racist, if you're going to believe in racism, then yeah, you got to be stupid and delusional to actually uphold the principle and the system.
you really have
I
to be.
know it exists. I know how it works. I don't. I play with it when I want to get what I want. But for the most part, I know that shit is foolish,
I know all this
and we're
shit.
going to act like it's foolish. We're going just keep acting like it's foolish. It's and have the conversations like you're talking to fools, especially when we're trying to get down to fixing something. Now, I don't know what we're going to fix when it comes to sexuality because there ain't no fixing a lot of things. Because if you're going to fix something, that means you have to talk about it. Now, what are you ready to talk about? Well, for the most part, I mean, yeah, pedophilia and all that, that's been a strong buzzword in our media for some time now. But it's like, what do you know about pedophilia? What do you do about it? Do you even know anyone who is an actual pedophile? Because most of the time you're talking about hebephilics for the most part, not people that are into prepubescence. It's usually postpubescence, but then they want to get on you when you use very specific language. It's like, oh, no, you're just trying to sugarcoat shit. It's all nasty. And I'm like, I never said it wasn't nasty. I never said it was nasty. I'm just trying to get specific about what we're talking about because context always matters on how we're going to, you know, digest something, spread it apart, and then see how things work and then how we can rearrange it. If you don't know anyone who is a pedophile, you haven't done any pedophile case studies, whatever, to understand how the mind works or where it stems from, then you're just here talking about how nasty it is, and that's counterproductive, especially when
Exactly.
there are actual people who struggle with it. Like they actively know in their mind that they're attracted to something that they shouldn't like. And it's unfortunate because some people don't want to be that way. So
Mm.
then they would like to change, but it's like, oh, well, there isn't really any way to change. And if I'm open about it, then people are going to, it's just like, it's a never ending battle.
Oh, yes.
It's a never ending battle. So with pedophilia, we go into race place, we can go into bestiality. I mean, all these little things, we can even go back to history and see how it plays out as well. I mean, I don't have any evidence, but I remember reading things, and incest was rather common. In
I mean,
fact,
but
it
you know
seems to be
what?
rather natural.
Incest to me seems like a oof. I'm gonna wake it up. I always said if I had a brother, God on high knew not to give me one because it would have been going down.
But no one wants to talk about that. And you know what? I find very common. I've been finding, just noticing, there was a space that was opened up. I think it might have been early this year, maybe last year. And it was a very interesting space where people were talking about, their uncles or cousins, doing things with them. They were,
Now, let me tell
like,
you something.
okay,
I put myself on the chopping block. It ain't a chopping block. I told this before. The first dick I ever sucked, the first pussy I ate was my cousin's.
sounds
Both.
very common, as I've heard. Okay, very common. And you know what? Who am I to say that's none of my fucking business, quite honestly. I don't know you. I don't know the relationship with your cousin. I mean, from the outside looking in, if you're both fine, I don't know. I'm not related, so I really don't give a fuck.
Right. I don't care what y'all doing, but but I'm gonna say this. All those pages that y'all be liking because with they little storylines, because they everywhere. Everywhere. Oh, my uncle. Oh, we're walked in on my cousin sleep. Oh, look at the daddy son one. That's what run rapid. Now let's go there. The daddy son.
Okay. And
Yeah.
the gay community, they're they're not going to be honest about that. They're not going to be honest about that incest fetish that they
Half of
slightly
their
enjoy.
fathers and uncles, and they
Okay.
mothers and fathers for their sons, and mothers for their sons, and daughter, all which way. I seen a video online one time where this boy, he was naked in his room, big, long, black dick, teenager, and his mom walked in the room when she was like, "What you doing?" And he wasn't doing that. He wasn't jacking off, and he was just like in the room naked. But the camera's on the side, and she was mad as shit, going off because he was naked in his room. You know what it was? She was turned on by it,
Mm-hmm.
by that big dick of her son.
Mm-hmm.
She wanted that dick, and she knew she couldn't have that dick, and now she's mad at him.
You know, and walking in, and you shouldn't be walking in, bitch.
Gay
You know,
community.
you shouldn't be walking in, but you know what you would have walked in on. The door is closed. But we're not going to be honest about the certain things. I mean, right now, I think I was seeing something on Twitter. I need to get off Twitter or X, whatever the fuck it's called at this point.
Oh, Twitter X. I don't know no
But
more. It's
I
still
mean,
Twitter.
Twitter X makes sense.
Twitter X.
Twitter X makes sense. Okay.
I like that.
The emotion, what is it? Emotional incest. That seems to be the new word. Where it's like, okay, you guys are, it can be a sibling relationship or a mother, son, father,
Oh,
daughter, whatever, yada, yada. And it's like the replacement of the spouse or the partner by emotionally accepting or needing you to kind of fill that role. But it's like, well, that's just kind of.
it's incest. But see, y'all, let me tell you something. People, it needs to color, whoever runs that colors page, you dumb as fuck. Because let me tell you something. And I say this when people who are so intellectual, when I used to be on Clubhouse, because I used to be in there with people that got PhDs and just listen to them talk. And then I would get on the stage and speak my shit. And then they would just be talking and they would just come, just say all these words. And I'd be like, words are fun. Aren't they so fun? We can just say words and it doesn't mean anything. You're not saying anything substantial. You're not saying anything that's groundbreaking. You're not saying anything that's new. You're just only saying anything that's suppressing and it's exposing your true inner feelings that you hate to admit. And this incest thing, everybody loves it. Everybody loves it. I don't
Otherwise,
know
we
what.
wouldn't have. We wouldn't. Mm-hmm.
Game of Thrones, House of Dragon. We go up for them. We root for the
And I
uncle
was
and the niece.
watching that scene.
I was rooting for
I
it. I was
watched that scene.
like, let's go. House
I
Targaryen.
said,
All
you better keep it pure, bitch.
pure, pure. I was mad at Rhaenyra for getting over there, that brown haired boy. Bitch, we supposed to be pure. I ain't like that. Stay in the family.
Keep it in the family, bitch. That's only where the power lies. You got to be pure.
Pure. And that's what the black hotels want, I guess. But see, they want you to fuck each other because you can't fuck no other race. Fuck each other.
Fuck each other.
So they can fuck their daughters and sons. That's what they want.
Oh, but they don't want to talk about that because as like so many grandmothers haven't been abused by their fathers that we don't know about. that we don't know about. Oh, you're actually, oh, I didn't know my aunt was my mother. I've been confused. You,
What kind of shit is that? Like, hello? And then this nigga still alive, living in the house.
hold on. We got weird shit going.
Oh, not the colorist, them sitting roots out.
You're
When
right.
I
It's just like
when I
they, they had me cackling. They were like, and he does hoodoo too. I'm like, bitch, yes, yes, I do. But anyway,
they can't take I so much.
because how do you, it's like, how do we effectively speak on it? And then it's not, we're not going to find a resolution. It's not like we're
It's
finding,
not to be
an
resolved.
answer to, you know, we would like to get to the resolving part. We would like to get to the, okay, the colorist page, they're, what is it, they're bringing attention to the idea, and it's like, okay, yeah, you're just being messy, and now people are believing that they understand what this is. Okay, great. How do you say, of like, well, what's it rooted in? They've shared a few articles about looking into it, and it's like, yeah, it didn't take much to like understand it. You can kind of just exist as a person and probably figure out colorism on your own. Oh, unless you don't come from a family that actually teaches you about that kind of shit. But I don't know, maybe I'm not dealing with real black people. I don't really know.
I don't know. Who is it? Who is it?
Who are you? And you know what? Make my ass shocked by just revealing yourself. I'm like, oh, you are a Negro. Oh, a colored. Lovely. Okay,
And
so now we can get to the work.
they're gonna be dark skinned, I promise you.
And they better be. They better
They better
be.
be. They better be.
Because if it's a
You
light
better
skin,
be.
I'd be like, you know what?
What kind of guilt is running on you,
It's
babe?
like you set up this whole war for what?
For what? To laugh. Some people just like to watch the world burn, Alfred, Dark Knight Rises.
Okay. And
Uh,
and I was like that too. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. I'd be on my SU shit. I'm here for all of the trickery and a good little fun kiki time. But after a while, you got to evolve from that archetype and actually do something. Actually try to change the world in a way that's actually beneficial, not for like, oh, do you see how funny this was? It hurt a lot too, didn't it? And it's like, yeah, I do that on an enemy, maybe.
yeah,
But you
I
can
can
have
get
some
with the
fun.
shits. I'm a dark. I dwell in the light and the dark. It is what it is.
Yep.
It is what it is. We can play, but I choose not to
Hmm. It's
because I'll get lost.
okay. I get real easily lost in the darkness. Then they got me dark real quick. I was like, you know what? Y'all saying making lots of accusations.
Hmm. And
I'm
that's
I'm just gonna say some. I'm gonna project too. Why
Fuck it.
not? But trying to like bring that back, what? How can I actually have a conversation with someone who has already figured? Fuck it. But how can I figure out how can I have a conversation with someone that has already figured out how I am, how I live, what I believe about myself, and they're not even trying to actually communicate. Instead, they're just hurling projectiles of some sort. It's, I guess right now it's good that everyone is out in the open about how they feel about certain things, or they're open to discussing it, but only the true ones that are brave enough to move it forward by putting themselves on the chopping block. Because it's like, as long as you make noise, as long as you exist, they're going to have some level of ammo. They're going to have some level of need to be a part of the whole conversation. So I think so I will say I'm very thankful for you for opening up the floor, um, and essentially trying to help the world actually by actively showcasing your face and then also putting yourself in your experience and saying, yo, I know what the fuck I'm doing. I don't know what y'all are up to, but let's talk about it.
We can talk. Let's and they don't want to do that. And I mean a actual conversation of trying to understand, because like you don't fully agree with the race play shit, but I can have a conversation with you and listen to what you're saying, like, oh damn, you're right. I boom. But and I can say this is my experience with it is, have you seen it from this side? Have you tried to look at that this way?
Mhm.
Because I'm very adaptable to shit, but I don't adapt to everything because you got to stand for something.
Some boundaries don't need to exist. Mm-mm.
Down, oof, that was in my co-star horoscope a couple of days ago, telling me to let down all my boundaries, let it all go, watch water turn to ice. And I was like,
Mm-mm.
that's tricky for me because boundaries, bitch, because that's what keep me and people safe.
It keeps us safe. The box keeps us safe, and it helps us not address the thing that would actually ultimately destroy us and destroy our concept of our identity and even our culture that we uphold.